tuned into the NBA, NHL. I'm interested to see how that will work, how that will go in their respective bubble formats. Most of all, I know this is down the line, but I'm looking forward to seeing if the NFL will start on time. It's still a long way down the road, but I'm looking forward to seeing how that will go. But I'm looking forward to watching sports in general. But like I said before, I would like sports to return when everybody is safe and healthy to do so. So if there's more risk of COVID or anything when these sports leagues restart, I mean, I just don't feel comfortable having them play, and it's crazy to me the times we are in right now, but I'm just looking forward to it all together.
Yeah, that sounds good. I see Arun here in the chat. I appreciate him sticking with us and giving me comments and stuff. He says the NFL is still thinking they have fans. I was like, it's interesting.
Arun.
So it's interesting to see, what this does. Whether NFL fans want to buck the system and come to games live. There's some talk that some stadiums will allow for a couple of people in. We've heard wide ranges from nobody's allowed in, like what with the Jets and the Giants stadium, to some people saying that they're going to have a minimal amount. I don't know how you space out tickets when you're selling them so that families get a certain range and a certain amount of 6 feet away from the next person. I don't know how you figure any of that out, and I don't know how you figure out the travel situation that we're seeing with baseball. But I saw that Carol started a football feed. Carol, what are some of your thoughts going into training camp with football? And do you think football is possible in this kind of situation?
Well, we talked about it briefly last show we did, premiering up until the season five premiere tonight. They were testing everyone in training camp the first 2 weeks of training camp, which I don't really understand. And instead of doing it the whole training camp, I mean, it is closed to the public, and now they have no preseason games. So I'm assuming that they're using the same logic as with the MLB, that they're basically in a bubble because they're not traveling, they're not going anywhere, they're not having scrimmages against other teams. So I feel like they, feel like comfortable right there. But then going into the season, how are they going to handle it with travel, and are they going to test the players daily, or are they going to test them on game day, or test them on Saturday, the travel day? Hopefully they have all of this stuff figured out. If they can, maintain and keep folks safe and not sick, I think if they have a good plan, that it will hopefully work. If they quarantine and do all the stuff that they already have, hotels that know what's going on with the players coming in, that they have them clean, sanitize and all of that good stuff. It depends on how much planning that they've gone into it. As we see, the MLB hasn't really put all the thought and process into it. We saw NHL and NBA, with a little bit more thought, and we see the success they're having. So it's all going to come into the preparation and planning that the NFL had put in place. And with Roger Goodell, as I always call him, because we think he's God, I don't have much faith in him to have the foresight to think about all those contingencies. But all we can do is wait and see, and hopefully they can stay healthy, and we don't have an issue like we have with Miami, that one day they'll pop up that somebody, one team has 20 players test positive in one day. So I'm hopeful. I'm praying that we can have football, because I want to see what this Washington football team is going to do amidst all of this garbage that's going on in all season. Their fans are up in the roar about. They're forgetting about what's going on with the actual team, and they get caught up in all of the rhetoric and propaganda, instead of worrying about the football team, which happens to be their name for the next year.
So Neville felt jealous of Ginny's cameo, with the barking. So he's now joining the video feed here.
Hey, if you ever
Yeah, it'll
get
be
over
interesting to
Robbie's
see.
house, Neville is a cool ass cat. I'm not a cat person, but Neville is a cool ass cat, man. I
Yeah,
love
he's a
that
really
little
cool.
dude.
Yeah, it sounds good. And to clarify Arun's statement, he didn't finish the statement. He didn't write the second line. He says NFL is still thinking they have fans in the stands. He wasn't making fun of fans leaving in droves like I was accusing him of. But I
Hey,
think both are true. People are pretty upset. Speaking of fans that are upset, I think that's a good segue, right? Let's talk about the formerly known as the Washington Redskins fan base, right? So I want to do a little disclaimer before we talk about the Washington D.C. football team. I may slip up and call them the Redskins from time to time. I will try my very, very best not to, but trust me when I say it, it's not a slur. It's the fact that I was born during a Washington football game, and I've hailed to those Redskins for my entire life, and it'll be tough. I've been a person who is a supporter of the Redskins name, I'll be honest. I'm supporter of the change as well, and I think you can be a supporter of both, and you can continue to support this team. I know there's a bunch of groups out there that have really struggled with that, and they don't know whether they should still support the team. I know there are many Native Americans out there that are probably disappointed that their representation is dwindling in sports. They may not want to still support the team. People that don't live in the DMV. It's easy if you live in the DMV to continue to support the Washington football team, as you always have, as people support a lot of the teams that we see on this program. But it's going to be tough for many people. There are some people that the only reason they like Dan Snyder was the fact that he didn't cave on changing the team name, right? And now he's done that. So they've literally lost the last thing that Dan Snyder could do. And it's interesting, the Washington Post expose, we talked about it a little bit last week. They're trying to basically, I wonder if it's the Washington Post trying to push Dan out of, to selling the team to their owner, Jeff Bezos from Amazon. So it'll be really interesting to see if he continues to own the team or if he wants to rebrand it and then sell it and just get out of this headache, because I don't think that owning this team has been quite as successful or as exciting as Dan Snyder may have liked going into this. I can't imagine he's super excited with how the last 20 years have gone. I know that the fan base isn't, but I'm hoping, and we can talk about this, that we could use this as a jumping off point. This is a fresh start, a new team, a new coach, and maybe we'll get rid of the Indian burial curse or whatever people. Some people don't believe in curses. Sometimes we believe in curses. Sometimes we don't on this show. I know CP3 does not necessarily believe in curses, but he does believe in jinxes with the hockey gods. So I know that sometimes you are
Hold up.
superstitious and
We
sometimes
got
you're less
breaking
so.
news. We got breaking news. I just got through my feed. I just spoke about Roger Goodell, and I just got let's see, just got something coming from. He puts out a letter to the NFL fans explaining plans for the season. Let's see if I can give a read it. Just might as well. It's breaking news. Might as well go ahead and read it real quick. It says every step of the way, our focus has been on the safety of players, coaches, personnel, fans, and our communities. Our planning has followed the lead of medical experts, public health officials, including the CDC, the White House Task Force, governors, and state health officials. As we have developed our 2020 playbook for the return of football, safety continues to be our first priority. That commitment will remain paramount as players return to the field. The league and the players union reached agreement on a plan. Last Friday, after all preseason games were canceled, team facilities were shut down by Goodell in late March, only to begin reopening in a cautious basis this summer. The NFL in 2020 will not look like other years. Goodell added players and coaches will be tested for virus regularly, including every day for a while. No timetable, just says a while. Preseason games have been canceled. Everyone in the team environment must follow rigorous health and safety protocols to keep themselves and each other safe. When there is a positive test, strict regulations will be enforced to isolate and care for the individual to contain the virus before it spreads. You can go check out the rest of it on ESPN. There, the one that just broke it. I was just giving you the first couple of paragraphs of it. We were just speaking about the hopeful parameters or stuff they had in place if someone does have a positive test, and looks like that they have addressed that. And you can go read the letter. I'll probably share it on Sports on the Hill podcast page later, on my page later, or you can go read it for yourself right now. But with the Washington football team name, I cleared it up yesterday for, if you didn't check out At the Bar Radio. The Washington football team is the name because of litigation. We all heard about the guy that trademarked all of the different variations of Redskins and Red Wolves.
Smartest man alive. I'm telling you why.
I wish it was, man. I wish I'd have got in on that, man, because somebody got to kiss the ring to get that trademark. But then also the leading candidate that I know I like, the Red Wolves. I believe it's a team in either Colorado, a college team in either Colorado or Utah that has that name also. So this 16 months of saying Washington football team is for litigation. It isn't some diabolical plan by the NFL to ruin the team. It isn't Daniel Snyder with something up his sleeve. It's called the legal system. People put the conspiracy theories away. It isn't always trickery. It isn't always something behind. Sometimes it's something as simple as common sense. But as I said earlier, common sense is not common nowadays. So I don't have a problem with the name change. I put the article out 6 years ago with my solution. Then that they didn't take it, but I already had my points of it. I mean, like you said, Robbie, it's a fresh start, fresh change. They're not wiping the history books. They're not taking the three Super Bowl titles. They're not doing any of that. They're just changing the name. Same franchise, different name. Things have been rebranded all the time. We spoke about that also yesterday on the show. But it's just a funny time. I'm going to root for this team no matter what. As I've shown, I have the logo tattooed on my arm, so it makes no difference to me if they sell another Redskins jersey or not. It's on me for the rest of my life, so I'm good with that. But it's definitely going to be an interesting season. It's going to get in some of the quick storylines before we go a little too long. We were trying to get done before 2 hours, but we're not. Alex Smith has been cleared to play. He's going to start the season on the PUP list. Darius Geis actually got cleared today to resume full football duties. So, those two guys, I was on the record when it happened. Luckily, me and Robbie was at that game, thank God, because I didn't see it on TV, because I have a photographic memory and I could still see the Joe Theismann injury from when I was 7 years old. And I said then, and I'll say it again now, I don't feel that he will play another down as quarterback in this league. Not because the physical aspect, but the mental aspect. And Darius, before I pass it to Josh to see your thoughts, and with Darius Geis, folks said that he was injury prone before. I used to argue and be like, nah, just a couple of fluke injuries. But when you're on the IR 3 times in 2 years, he has a lot to prove to me, especially with the draft that this team has had, with some of the weapons that they picked up offensively, and with Adrian Peterson re-signing and still looking like he's ready to rock and roll for another 3-4 years maybe. I need to see it on the field. If he can stay healthy and go out there and run hard like he does and learn how to, take contact. Sometimes it's easy to go out of bounds to go down without taking that big hit, then I'll be convinced. But I believe he is going to be an X factor for this team. If he can stay healthy, that's going to go a long way with this team. If not, next man up. And I feel like they have enough talent, even though some folks don't think so, to make the offense work in the first year of this system. What do you say, Josh?
Well, I love Darius Geis, but will he? I think the best thing that will be happening to Darius Geis is that he will play in zero preseason games. So he can start the season, but will he last through a whole season? I haven't seen that, and I don't know. I've only seen a handful of his carries. I can't make a fair assessment on is he going to be ready to go? Has he been training, getting ready, preparing, but there are a lot of unknowns with that. Alex Smith, I think the Washington football team is going to be moving on, so to speak. I think Alex Smith might get an opportunity to play. I mean that leg injury, it was gruesome, and to recover from that, it's incredible. But still, I think I said the Redskins. Oh my gosh!
swear jar, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the NFL Network has a swear jar. They put $2 in every time they say the R word.
No, but anyways, the Washington football team, I think they're sticking with Dwayne Haskins. I think they're going to build a future with Dwayne Haskins. And unfortunately, the only way I see Alex Smith getting to play more football is if he gets traded or signs with a different team. But yeah, it's a great story. Alex Smith recovering from all this leg injuries, so many surgeries, like the news about he had an infection and he had to go in for another surgery. It's a wonderful story, and I'm glad he has recovered and he has been cleared to play football.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
I'll just say a couple quick things. One on that, I think he could be a great mentor for Haskins. I think if he plays the role and he takes that, that check and really uses it wisely and doesn't sit on it like some players have in the past for this franchise, but really actually uses that as a mentoring role, having another coach on the sideline. And very few quarterbacks also make it the entire season uninjured. So you may see him, suit up unfortunately, So I think having another person who could learn a playbook and a smart guy behind there that could back him up and teach him could be really big. The one thing I also want to talk about the logo thing, since I have a lot of experience making and designing logos, including our own. It takes a long time to design a logo, and it takes a long time to come up with a name. And I think to do it right, it does take 12 to 16 months or so. And what I do like that the team has already put out is that they're going to keep the fans as a part of this from the start. And I really am excited that they're going to have them be a part of the process. So we're going to be able to watch it. They're probably going to have videos about it and really make it an interactive thing where it's not just going to be like the team dictates to the fans what what the name is going to be. And what's funny is I kind of like the Washington football team, but I've always been a fan of Premier League and soccer and things like that. And some teams don't actually have a mascot or a logo in this world. I know that that's rare and does not happen in the NFL, but I'm not upset that they're going to be called that. I'm just going to have to hopefully remember to call them that because as you can see on this side, I've got every one of the different Redskins things, and there's Redskins written all over the room that we're in. So it's definitely going to be hard to not focus on that and remember that they're the Washington football team.
An interesting tidbit with the quarterback situation that's going on. A lot of folks have forgotten that the Redskins signed Kyle Allen from Carolina, and we spoke about this when they signed him. I believe me and Dujanay that might be the contingency plan if they didn't have preseason and training camp. That Kyle Allen might start the season as started because if you recall, Rivera hasn't named Haskins the starter, and the fact that Allen has a year in the offense and worked with Scott Turner, that might be something to look out for in training camp. Even though Haskins has been working with the wide receivers and gaining chemistry and learning the playbook for the factor of the team, that might be something that goes into it that they might, because it is an open competition. And don't be surprised if you see Kyle Allen as the starter week one because of his familiarity with the offense and because of this COVID situation and Haskins not being able to get any live action snaps against an opposing defense. So that's something to keep in mind also. That's with the Alex Smith thing. If it gets to the fact that Alex Smith is getting dressed and we already have Haskins and Allen, then yeah, our offensive line is in more trouble than we need to even talk about if that happens. And I don't think they're that bad, especially with the draft pick Sadiq Charles. I feel like he's going to be able to take over that left tackle spot, and I believe that's going to make everything else fall into place. Still need a left guard, but left tackle is very crucial in the NFL. Most important spot on the line, in my opinion, the blind side of the quarterback. Got to protect it, and I think with that pick, with his size and his footwork and coming from a top-ranked program, I think he's going to take over fine in that left tackle position.
That was good. Well, Josh, I want to let you have your final say, and then we'll do our sign-off. But let people know where they can find your podcast.
All streaming platforms, I dropped the name Josh, so I'm sticking with the Kirby on Sports podcast. A lot more simpler, it was sort of a long name. But anyways, the Josh Kirby, the Kirby, whatever. You can find it on both all streaming platforms, anywhere you can find podcasts, Twitter, Instagram. You can find us there, Facebook. But we're just trying our best to produce great content each and every week. With sports not being here, it's sort of tough, but I envision that we will have more and more to come. But for the Sports on the Hill podcast, Season 5, it's incredible. You all do great things. The hashtag dynamic duo, Robbie Gross, Carol Porter, the third. I do hope we can continue this partnership and get you on my podcast and continue to just do what we do best and connect in the community of sports podcasters. But great to be on with you all, and I'm looking forward to doing this again soon.
All right, sounds good, man. Appreciate it. Always love the support and the love you give us, man. Glad we can finally get you on. You will be back on again. You see, we got the Zoom feed. We got everything set up. So, yeah, it's going to be ready to rock and roll. And we still had the Redskins post-game and pre-game that I'll be doing. I'm sorry.
Redskins!
The Washington football team.
Jar.
Pregame. It just comes out so naturally, man.
It does. I know it's gonna be hard.
Carol, you gotta cash at me $5 because you said that.
Hey, we're even. You said what, I said what. We gonna call it a wash.
I said 0. I've only referenced it. So I'm winning. I'm winning today. We can have like a little counter every week and see how bad we do.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be interesting. So we definitely going to have you around some more, Josh. Appreciate it, and have a good night. And we definitely check with you some more.
Gentlemen, thanks again. Take care.
All right.
Thank you. All right. So, Carol, it was a fun show. Season 5, episode 1 is in the books. I'm going to end this Facebook Live feed, the producer cam feed. I will probably pull the audio and put up this episode tomorrow on our website and on Anchor and all that sort of stuff. And I know that Carol's probably going to clip up his feed, and we may do little basketball or little segments from there as well throughout the season. We're going to try to do little clips and do all sorts of new, fresh ideas. I hope you've enjoyed the producer feed, which is just kind of the Zoom. I've really enjoyed that we've been able to chat with people. There's actually hidden people in Zoom that have been watching it as well, and I appreciate them giving their input, like Arun. So it's been really fun. I look forward to more NBA, NHL, MLB, and NFL content next week. I mean, these first 3 or 4 weeks, it's crazy. Next week, I want to remind people it's going to be at 7 o'clock, just like it was this week. It's going to be a post-game show for both that first round robin game against Tampa Bay. Also, we'll recap all 3 Wizards games from last week, including the one that will be earlier that day. So that'll be exciting. And so, yeah, it's been a good episode. Any final thoughts before we let our viewers go?
Just make sure you check us out. Like Robbie said, we're streaming on Facebook and YouTube visually. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor. Be on the lookout. Plus a couple of other ones we gonna have to start mentioning too. We don't want to leave anybody out. Make sure you go check out the website, SportsOTHP.com. Click on that SportsOTHP apparel and accessories link so you can get the backdrop like I have, or the fresh District of Champions t-shirts, coffee mugs, blankets, pillows, whatever you want to help support the movement. Make sure you stay tuned for CP3 Live from the Lab, new show I'll be rolling out soon. Working on getting some of the logistics taken care of. You might have checked out some of the test shows I had on my other page. If you didn't miss. Well, you did miss something, but we're gonna keep it coming for you. So stay tuned for so much more. DC Sports Without the Politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do, and we're out.
Sounds good. One last thing for the Zoom feed. Also, Hail to the Redskins series has been renamed to the football series, so you can still get burgundy and gold logos for people who want to check that one out. But yeah, all the apparel is there. Highly recommend people check it out. Also, that website, as you had said before, Carol, brand new, lots of new links, lots of great stuff. And you can also check out the top 10 episodes of all time for the first 4 seasons. All 10 of those are at the top of the page right now. I highly encourage that. And with that, we will end the audio portion and the producer feed. And we thank everyone for tuning in. And we'll see you next week for season 2.
To Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Network. Thank you, gentlemen.